Clicked live. All right. All right, everybody. Hi, welcome. I am A-Day, otherwise known as Black Carnivore, and this is Arian. And Arian, what's your handle, Arian?
Uh, on Instagram, it's real knowledge. It's other things elsewhere.
hmm All right. So, if you are new here, we talk about all things to do with the carnivore diet and, building a carnivore lifestyle. And if you are returning, welcome. Make sure you post in the chat. I definitely want to hear from you and hear how your week has been going and all of that. Um, let's see. So Sawa says to make butter hamburger or not to make it. That's the question. Good question. Good question. I always like it. Brown the butter so you get that nice yummy flavor, and then cook the ground beef in it. Very good.
I just did ground beef, and I did it just in its own juices. I should have added some butter.
hmm It's it's never bad to do it without, but it's
Yeah.
an interesting change of pace. Well, we grilled it all day today, so I did post some pictures, or I posted some video on my Instagram. So definitely head over there and check it out. But my cousin and I, we went to Walmart, and wow, so Walmart in North Carolina has a selection, but in Texas, it has a selection. I mean, of all the possible parts of the cow you can imagine in all forms. It was pretty amazing.
Okay. Texas Walmart.
Mhm.
I should try that.
Mhm. And so many briskets on sale for I think like, two something a pound. Uh-huh.
And the prices are better.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are briskets that are, untouched. So all the fat is still on them, all the everything. Yeah. So anyway, we did some grilling today, a little smoking. My cousin got pork ribs, and those were smoked. Made burgers, hot dogs, all the things. So we have been swimming and eating,
That
swimming and
sounds like
eating.
a fantastic day.
Yeah, yeah. And it was, I think, nearly 100 degrees. So it was so hot and so awful that the swimming was like absolutely necessary.
I can imagine.
hmm Yeah.
And if that's 100, um, is it humid down there? So are you feeling that
hmm
too?
hmm Yeah. Yeah. Very sticky. So, but anyway, so that was my day. It was pretty amazing. I have not had a day this good in a long time. So, I definitely appreciate today.
That's awesome. I'm
How
happy for
how
you.
about you? Yeah, how about you? Was yours a good day?
Um, it was decent. I I had a day where I think it was yesterday. See, you guys were talking about fat, and this is what happens. Um, then I change how I'm eating, and I go, oh, I should try some more fat. So, um, was it yesterday morning or the day before? I don't know. One of these days, I had a pork chop with beef fat trimmings, and I fried the trimmings in my air fryer, and they tasted pretty good. But I kept eating them beyond when they tasted good. So I
Mm.
probably was at too much fat that time.
hmm
And yeah, paid for it, and I'm like basically recovering today.
Oh, sorry about
But
that.
now that I know what actually hydrates me without
hmm
causing stomach problems, I can do that. So I had 2 cups of broth, and
hmm
I feel a lot better.
hmm Okay, nice. Yeah, it's that's a tough one. And I find even now, like just drinking too much, like I'll get really thirsty, especially if I eat something that's very salty. And I just can't allow myself to drink as much liquid as I want because it's gonna upset my stomach. So, I have to be, kind of moderate in my sips. And so, as a consequence, it's made me sort of change how I eat so that I don't get so thirsty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you change how you eat?
Eat less, then the less protein, because I think it's, when I am having too much, that's when I'm, getting more thirsty. Yeah. All right. So Mommy Does Keto is in Portugal. Oh my gosh. I am so jealous. This is awesome.
Yeah.
You're not always in Portugal, are you? I don't know. I thought she said her family was from there, but wow, awesome. So I hope you're having a good time. And yeah, and let's see. Esther says, "Hi, my carnivore peeps. It's me, Esther. Glad to catch you live. Nice outfit, A-Day. Good to see you, Aaron. Y'all do great lives. Walmart in North Carolina is great. I don't like to go there because I get lost." Yeah, yeah.
The Walmarts in the
Well,
South are huge.
yeah, yeah. Well, I forgot to bring a bathing suit here. So while we were shopping for food, I picked up this number. So this is a Walmart special on
Nice.
sale. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, and Mommy Does Keto says the ground beef here has breadcrumbs in it. And I have to have the butcher grind up some beef for me. I did know that. Because when I was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, that's the way ground beef was at the regular supermarket. It was like that there too. And I was like, what is this? Why? Why is that? So I would just go to a regular butcher counter and they have regular ground beef. But I don't know. Like, that's weird to me.
So is it advertised that way, or do you just happen to smell it or something?
Well, I tasted it and then I looked at the, package and, it said, but it was just like, what? And, I didn't speak Dutch all that well. So there were lots of times that I bought things that I was confused about what they were, or I thought it was one thing and it was really something else. So that I just chalk that up to, like, me not understanding the language and the custom. But yeah, it was on the label. But I feel like the idea of buying processed prepackaged things, I don't know, to me that it feels very American. And so when I go other places, I feel like most people in those other places don't do that unless they are American and they're expats or they're on vacation or something is going on. And so like the regular people didn't get their ground beef from, the supermarket in those styrofoam packages like we do. They got it from the butcher, or it was very common to have these like outdoor markets, multiple times a week. And different ones, I guess, sort of specialize in different stuff. So you'd kind of have a circuit to cover all of your grocery needs. So I feel like, people kind of did that, not just going to get ground beef at the Albert Heijn. But I don't
Okay.
know. It might be different in other countries, but that's always been my impression. Um,
Like
so
maybe
Paul,
it's
mhm,
the American concept of shopping also comes with food built for your
mhm.
what we think are stupid American tastes.
Yes, yes. So our way of shopping is, it really is. It's very uniquely us, and a lot of other places don't shop that way. They don't buy the same things. They don't think about buying things in that same way. And the idea of buying like pre-packaged, processed, or pre-prepared foods is just not normal. People don't do that.
I actually I've looked and I've had a hard time finding a butcher shop that is just a butcher shop anywhere
Hmm.
close to me. I would rather shop that way. Like if the
Hmm.
prices were kind of comparable.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know that you can. I mean, things don't operate that way, in most cities anymore. So
Yeah.
there are, like in New York, there are a few like, specialty butcher shops, but like they exist because people want that experience, not because they're able to compete with supermarkets.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ones I've seen here, I guess that's the reason why they're always like so much more expensive. Is
Uh-huh.
they're like they're high end. There's no
Mhm.
place close where I can just it's just regular people working as a regular butcher.
Mhm. I don't know. I have to assume that exists somewhere. Like maybe in places where people hunt a lot or there's, a lot of animal husbandry, you still have just regular butchers because, that meat has to be processed and all of that. So maybe in those places, but,
Yeah,
you know, not in
and
Baltimore.
so when I say close to me, I don't mean in the same city. I
Mhm.
mean like within 10 minutes, probably tops, because that's as far as I go for most of my shopping. I happen to live in a part of the city where shopping's really easy to get to. Um,
Mhm.
I could go if I up that to like probably 20 minutes. I could find butchers,
Oh, all right. Well,
but
add a little time then.
why isn't anything
I
closer? Everything
don't
else is
know.
closer. Why not that?
I don't know. I don't know. Um, so Paulette, I am in Houston, Texas. So KetoCon is this weekend, and it's in Austin, Texas. And my cousin lives in Houston, so I flew to Houston, and I'm gonna stay here overnight, and then I'm gonna catch. There's a bus that that goes from Houston to Austin, so I'm gonna take the bus in the morning and get to the conference tomorrow. and and then on the return I'll also have a day hanging out with my cousins. So it'll be nice to get caught up with family. hmm and let's see, Mommy Does Keto says the butcher says no, they don't have breadcrumbs. Probably what the butcher's doing doesn't, but if you showed him the package, I don't know, he might be just as appalled as you and me. um So Meat Based Musing says I can never catch the meat counter open in the regular grocery store if they even have one. Um, that's surprising. I mean, I guess you've got to go to the grocery store during the day, but I usually find like it's best to go super early because they start early too, like maybe even 7 or 8 a.m. And if you can check in, then you're able to talk to them without there being too much stuff going on.
Yeah, I imagine probably going during the
hmm
day, and then also it's going to help. Um, Going to certain stores, I find the higher end stores just about always have a person behind the meat counter.
hmm Agreed. So, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, make sure that we talked about. So, did everyone get a chance to watch the Married Black and Carnivore intro or the trailer? What did you get a chance to watch? What did you think?
Yeah, I saw it. I would, it was really cool to see them doing it, and it's interesting that they've done carnivore before, but actually they were only this time around they've only been doing it for I think like 5 and 9 months.
hmm
Um,
hmm
they're not like doing it forever, so you get to see some people who have had success and seem to be on the
hmm
right path, but they're not like we've been doing it forever and now we're just maintaining. Like they're still experiencing
hmm
benefits, probably new ones pretty recently.
hmm Yeah, yeah. And I thought it was cool that they wanted to talk about their experience and kind of produce a show that speaks to like to couples who are doing this and doing it as a lifestyle in the home, in the marriage. So I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking
hmm
forward to see what they have to talk about, what their experience has been, and what it
Hmm.
what's going to happen in this time while they're doing this show. Because
Hmm.
there's only been one other time where I've seen anything that was like kind of close to this.
Hmm.
There was one guy who was, this was a white dude. He was carnivore, and he had just started and was like doing a little like 10-minute vlog every day.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So this will be cool to see something similar to that. They're not going to record that often, but them giving their experience in something closer to real time than we normally get during like an interview, and they're
Hmm.
black people.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. So, they're definitely getting the hang of like the challenges of video and recording and doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that it's gonna be a really helpful. And for those of you out there who are trying to bring your spouses along, I mean, I'm, doing this single, but I've definitely heard from people that like I mean, some people have just said, this is what I'm cooking. And if you want to eat, you can eat this or you can go somewhere else and, find food for yourself. And so, the family kind of comes along. But other people, are still trying to balance the family's different, people's desires. And so I think it's really refreshing to see like a couple who is doing this together and supporting one another.
Yeah, um, it's nice that they at least shouldn't have those problems
Hmm.
trying to figure out how you cook two meals um,
Hmm.
each night, or who's fending for themselves and all that stuff. They can just eat the same stuff. And
Yeah.
even since they were keto before, so it wouldn't have probably been that hard even then if one of them had stayed keto.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's nice to see a couple doing it together.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope that this sparks a love of video for them and that they continue to make these because I think it would be really helpful. And I have another video coming up that I'm looking forward to releasing where I interviewed Carnivore Latina, who is Dominican and primarily speaks Spanish, and her channel is in Spanish. So I think it's awesome that there are like other voices out there that are trying to talk about this message and take it out there. And so I really want to support and help other people who are trying to get that out there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We I feel like at some point we talked about like that there should be equivalents of black carnivore for
Hmm.
other races, and so yeah, that's awesome that you're going
Hmm.
to be interviewing the Latina one.
Well, I have had I mean I did have people reach out to me who, basically said they wanted to be, carnivore, Latin or like Latinx. And but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's harder than you imagine to build a platform like this to to provide support for people and to build a community. It just it's not as easy. So I just think that it probably didn't come to pass as easily as people had hoped, or they just kind of went in different directions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that does
So,
happen. Like the guy I
mhm.
was talking about, he seemed to have stopped his carnivore videos and went to gambling, so I completely fell off.
Okay. Well, gambling's fun. People do that.
Right, I
Like,
guess.
yeah. All
I
right.
like my money in my pocket for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I see Sawa. I'm not sure I understand what your question is. I think you're maybe having trouble viewing the video, but hopefully you'll be able to sort that out. Portia, welcome. I can't wait to see you. I know that you're in my new area, so I'm looking forward to catching up soon. Glenda, hey, welcome. It's good to see you. Um, and Esther says, meat-based musings. That was my experience recently when I wanted flank and ribs for the 4th, but I caught him the next morning and he brought the cart out and let me choose as much as I wanted. Oh, that's nice. That is very nice. Okay, Brown Girl 626 said, yes, that should be really interesting to watch. Great. So, yes, everyone mark your calendars. So I said it's going to be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. For the month of July. And yeah, definitely make sure that you catch it. Okay, Esther says you want to watch it, but don't have the time or the desire to devote to watching it. Well, that's okay. That can happen. Um, yeah, Portia. Yeah, we got to meet. So, yeah, so that's what's coming up in terms of content, and then I've also done some interesting interviews. So I'm back, now once KetoCon is over on Tuesday, I'll get back on schedule and be able to publish the interviews and go from there. So we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Sorry for the break and everything, but it just couldn't be helped.
These things happen. I'm sure they
Hmm.
understand. Or I hope they do at least.
Hmm.
So in terms of KetoCon, you're speaking, correct?
Yes, yes. So KetoCon has got two things going on. I mean, one, I'm going to be speaking on Saturday, but then on Sunday they have a carnivore panel because there are so many people who are interested in carnivore now. They created a panel, so all of us who are there and eat carnivore are going to sit on this panel and answer questions and talk and everything.
Okay,
Hmm. Yeah.
that should be fun. So is any of that going to end up online after KetoCon, or is it all just
So I think that you can probably buy a package to view all of the video content, but I don't think it's going to end up live for free on YouTube. I think I'm going to record myself when I'm speaking, and I'll have to see what I'm allowed to do with that content. But I will definitely, I mean, my intention is to throughout the weekend, try to, take a lot of video to go live on Instagram, to publish, as many clips as I can, sort of updating you on what's going on, what I'm seeing, and then maybe, compile all of that into a longer video for YouTube, next week.
okay? Cool.
Yeah, that's my goal. But one of the things I really wanted to do is, I mean, KetoCon is also, I guess, it's like a conference. So there's like tons of vendors there who, have various types of keto products, and then there's speakers and so on. So what I really wanted to do also was to like look at all the vendors. I mean, obviously I'm not into all the keto snacks and all that kind of stuff, um but I am curious as to what's out there. And I do feel like more and more stuff is being created with carnivores in mind. So I'd really be curious to see what's out there. So I'm definitely going to spend a good chunk of time really, going up to as many of the vendors as possible and finding out what they got and sharing it with you.
That would actually, if you record that um, as like a travel vlog, like a mini, you would be, I guess, doing snack reviews, like carnivore snack reviews or product reviews. Like, yeah, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I actually had some kind of, it's like an adult Slim Jim or like a refined Slim Jim. So they were meat sticks. They're by this brand called Ostrom,
Mm.
Ostrim, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought, okay, I hadn't seen them before anywhere, and I happened to catch them on a road trip. And I said, yeah, okay, I'm buying two of these. I got to see how they taste.
Oh,
But
nice.
it was cool to see something new that I
Hmm.
never heard of before. Yeah, like
Hmm.
you said, like more carnivore stuff and carnivore adjacent stuff is being made, and
Hmm.
it's fun just to try them, even if they're not spectacular, and see how they are.
Hmm. Yeah. I used to love Slim Jim as a kid, so yeah, I would love to see that. Um, so Paulette asked if KetoCon is a new conference. So no, it's not new. It's definitely been going on for, I don't know. I mean, before 2020, like the last one was in 2019, and before that, I think it had been going on for, 8, 9 years, maybe longer. So it's been on for a while, and it's definitely, I want to say it's the biggest keto conference there is.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
That's huge that you're going to be there. Then
yeah, yeah.
I knew it was
I
big. I didn't know it was the biggest.
I think so. Yeah. Well, I mean, I love that I am getting there, and and having this opportunity to, to be known and to be getting to know different leaders in the field. But I think that they also are making efforts to be more diverse. And diversity starts with, I mean, I think everybody wants more customers, and and I think that some of these places are starting to realize, oh, there's like an untapped market who are not coming to our conferences and buying our tickets, and are starting to get that, the way you create some of that diversity is to have diversity in the speakers and the people who are participating. And so, there's definitely more of a concerted effort going on, and that's a good thing. So I'm pleased with that. Hmm.
Yeah, they're doing what they should do. Um,
Exactly.
if you want diverse customers, then you need to be diverse in the first place so that they feel comfortable coming to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, my talk, I'm going to talk about, carnivore in the Black community, and I really kind of gone back and forth on like how to approach it and what to say, because I think, for me, at the end of the day, I feel like the existence of Black carnivore is so important because um just so easily in our community we can just be like, oh, that thing, I don't know, that's like, that's them, that's their thing, that's not us, that's not us.
Mm.
And so, we have to see ourselves represented and doing, whatever the thing is in order to feel like it is for us. And so for that reason alone, that's why Black carnivore needs to exist. And because, our health is the kinds of health problems that we're, facing as a community are so can be so much improved by eating this way. Like it's just urgent that, we spread this message within the Black community that this way of eating is for us. And I feel like sometimes, I mean, yes, there are definitely racist people who just, trolls and want to be troublesome, but there are also people who just like genuinely seem to think that food is food, and why is it a big deal, and why is there race or gender or nationality or anything else put onto it other than the fact that it's food.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess, um, yeah, there's that type of an ignorance to the reality of
Hmm.
the country and society they live in, especially if we're talking the U.S., where race is in everything.
Hmm. Yeah. And I guess and I feel like that sort of perspective is also a very privileged perspective, because if you're a woman and you have to feed other people, like food is never just the thing, you're always like being concerned about somebody else, what their needs, desires, and wants are, and looking to fulfill them, and doing and connecting those things with, love, with relationships, with social roles. You communicate like values, and like your expectations about, the people in the family by how people are fed. I remember when I was a kid, the father, the breadwinner, that is the person who ate first and got the best piece of meat, and like,
The big
but
piece of chicken.
right. Yeah. But like, that is communicating a significant message to the whole family, that this person is getting the food, they're making sure that everyone else can eat, and they need to eat enough so that they have the energy to continue to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I just feel like this idea that like food is just food and, whatever, it's just a privileged position of someone who's not had to like be involved in the you know preparation, the procurement and preparation and feeding of other people.
Yeah,
They've been fed.
right. Like there's a whole lot of thinking that they don't even realize exists. So for
Hmm.
them, food is food. And that should be it.
Hmm. Yeah. All right, so we have some new folks here. Mona Smith, I did keto with much success and looking forward to even greater weight loss results with carnivore. Just so excited to see people who look like me being forerunners in the carnivore community. Yes. Well, I am glad that you have decided to jump in, and good for you. And I can't wait to hear your results. And Johnny G, that's right, free keto junk food all weekend long. Um, but I'm definitely going to limit myself. I've got to say now that I have the last 2 months where like I haven't had good control of my food. I've been kind of all over the place. I've had to like buy a lot of things. Um, I'm surprised at how I'm not cheating, because I remember when I was in a similar situation in the beginning of my keto and then later in the carnivore journey. So many times the opportunity would be like, I'm on the plane and I'm hungry, and I'm like, oh man, I'm hungry and it's going to take so long to get anything, blah blah blah. So when the flight attendant's like, biscotti or stroopwafel, I'll just be like, yes, both. It's not my fault. Like, I'm hungry and it's being offered to me, so I must have it. So that was kind of my attitude then. And that's just not happening now. So, like this morning, I was starving. I did bring some food, but put it in my bag, which went, in the overhead compartment, and then I didn't want to pull that out during the flight, so I just went without, and and I just was hungry, and then the flight attendants, and they brought a lot of snacks or unlimited snacks, and the ladies next to me enjoyed their snacks, so they were like constantly coming and bringing cookies, and it was just there was no part of me that was like, oh, do I? None. So you can get there. You can get there.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like a really good place when the temptation is there right in front of you and you just
Hmm.
can so easily ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. So my point being that so even though there's going to be all this free keto junk food out, or I mean, it won't all be junk, but free keto foods out there, I definitely will not be partaking in things that don't work for me. And then there's just things that I don't like kombucha, or fermented stuff, or there's whole categories of like keto foods that it's like, that's not for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had kombucha before. Wasn't a fan. The only sour stuff that was okay to me was kefir, kefir and sauerkraut.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, I'm not gonna have that at all. Okay, so Cherie watched the Mr. and Mrs. intro, and you look forward to seeing it. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Um, and Esther, yeah, I don't know how they're gonna feed us. I was actually kind of curious about that. Before I left, I was like, gee, should I have brought like something, some kind of emergency something? So I have a half a bag of salt and pepper pork rinds, and I made the rest of the bacon burnt, the ends pieces that I posted about on my Instagram. I don't know if you all saw that. So I just made the rest of it and put it in a plastic baggie. So that's sitting in my bag. I don't think that needs to be refrigerated, right? So
Probably not.
it's just sitting out.
It's cooked,
So
but I mean it's bacon, so it's already cured, and you're probably gonna eat it in the next like day or two.
probably,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
probably fine.
yeah. So so yeah, I have something, but I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like, what the food options are going to be like. So I'm really um I'm curious. I don't know. But I'm committed to eating this way. So, if there's not good options, I just, will wait until there are better options.
Yeah, like I would imagine that they're gonna have just meat out there. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
not meat's the only thing, but there's gonna be some dishes that are just it's just meat. But the issue is gonna be, yeah, if this is keto, what kind of sauce have they cooked that meat in? What kind of
Mhm.
stuff
Mhm.
have they put on there? Um,
Mhm.
maybe there'll be something like a brisket though, where like you can
Mhm.
just keep going back for that.
Mhm. I got to imagine. I mean, we're in Texas, right? Like, I thought that's supposed to be their thing here. So, I hope.
Yeah, that's what I would expect.
Yeah. So Virgo Lady tried the Chomps meat sticks, and thought they were pretty good. So that's good.
I don't
Yeah.
know that I've seen jumps.
Uh-huh. I've heard people talk about them. I don't I think the only times I've ever seen them in the store, it's been like weird flavors like turkey cheese or something. And yeah, so I don't know, it didn't seem appealing to me, but I've heard other people love them and, speak very highly of them. So yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, I'll add those to the list.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. So Danielle says, "Oh yeah, I'm very tan. Yes. I not only today, of course. I've been just sitting out all day and doing nothing but laying in the sun. But North Carolina is also super sunny and super hot, and there like seem to be no trees anywhere. I don't know why, because it's a very tree place, but it's just like they just mow down everything on the lot and then build like a housing complex, and it's like then it's hot because you don't have anything creating any shade. So so yeah, and I have to remember, like, every time I get in the car, I can't put my sunglasses on because they burn my face. I have to
Mm.
wait till things cool down a little bit. So yes.
Yeah, sounds like fun. I
Yeah.
remember going through Fayetteville a couple times during the summer and feeling like it's just god awful hot. Like I don't want to
Hmm.
be outside ever.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hotel to the car, waiting for the car AC to get running good, like was it was an ordeal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Okay, so Mommy Does Keto says the plain is what's hard for her. The plain is easy for her in traveling. It's the fruit pastries and desserts. Yeah, I would imagine you
Yeah.
get over to Europe and yeah, there's a lot of delicious fruit pastry and desserts. So um, that's gonna be a hard one.
Those would be killers for me.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so Meat Based Musing says I'd stock up on Redmond's electrolyte drops, carnivore crisps, and carnivore bars. I can't imagine those vendors not being there. Yeah, those vendors are definitely going to be there, and I've already spoken with some of them so we are looking forward to catching up and meeting. And there's another vendor that I had reached out to me, but like I didn't really have time to sort it out, but they are coming up with a device for measuring ketones with your breath, and so and your basal metabolic rate and your resting metabolic rate. So that'll be really exciting, to share that with everyone. So yeah, I think there'll be some really interesting things there, meat-based musings. Not even just, beyond the food stuff. Even, there'll be some other interesting stuff there. And I hope there's some knives company there, because I again, this is a revelation. Since I got that the self-sharpening Farberware knife, it's just made such a huge difference to have a knife that is sharp. Makes all of it so much easier, so much easier.
Sharp knives are really, really important. I could have sworn that you already had sharp knives, though.
No. I don't know why you thought that. I had the cheapest of knives from IKEA, and that I had beaten up over the years. And then I bought a sharpener from Amazon, and whenever I don't I mean, maybe every city has this, but there's like an old guy who, um I guess, first got his truck in 1922 and would drive around from neighborhood to neighborhood, and people bring out their knives to get sharpened, and continues to do that job to this day. But you never know where he's
Wow.
going to be and how to find him. So you see him in the neighborhood, you run home, you get your knives. That's just what people do. And you try to
He's
say,
like the
"Hey,
ice cream man.
yeah." You try to say, "When are you coming back?" And he's like, "You come now or not at all."
Right.
So, yeah. So yeah, for that's what I did for years, but I wasn't eating things that really required sharp knives. And then when I first started carnivore, like many of us, I relied a lot on ground beef, and so there just wasn't a need, or I could get by, let's say, without a better knife. But like, trying to make my jerky, like, that was ridiculous. And what I had to do was freeze the liver so that it was easier to cut, and I would get my large knife, and sharpen it, and so it would be sharp for, a few slices, and that would be like how I would do it. But like, really, I need better knives. That's just what the end of the day. And I've had some really top quality knives that I didn't care for properly and totally destroyed the blades. So I have had, those knives that are like $150 a knife, one that is, that kind of money. That
Wow.
I, but if you don't know how to sharpen it, like, it's like, what difference does it make? You know?
Yeah, you're gonna feel that $150 quality for, like, I don't know, the first month or so, if that. And
Yeah, the first, couple meals. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, stuff doesn't
yeah,
stay sharp eternally. Yeah.
yeah, I've found that with my knives, I just have a manual sharpener that has like a coarse grit and then a fine one. If I was really being better about it, I'd probably do that weekly for my
hmm
knives.
hmm Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how often you're supposed to do it, but it makes such a big difference when it's done properly.
Yeah.
So, and then, on that, I did an Instagram reel where I talked about that. And this guy threw me such shade, and he was just like, "I've never heard of anyone talking about Farberware being a good knife." And it was like, oh, okay, okay.
So you found a knife snob.
hmm hmm And he was like, and you're just eating steel shavings every time you pull that out of the sheath, and you sharpen it, because I know you're not going to rinse it off. And I thought, only I don't, well, not maybe not all guys are like this, but only a guy would say that. I mean, come on, of course I'm going to rinse it off every time I take it out of the sheath, for precisely that reason, because it creates shavings, steel shavings, as as you're removing it and sharpening it. And so, yeah, of course I'm going to rinse that off. Why would I not?
Because your name's Arian, that's why you wouldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't think to do that?
I've never once in my life thought to rinse off a knife before using it.
Well, when you pull it out of a sheath that is sharpening it, that's a little
Right.
bit different. I mean, not like when you're just
So,
pulling it out of the drawer, but when you're pulling it out of something where it's being sharpened as it's exiting that thing.
but as I like when I do sharpen my knives, I don't rinse them out. I put them straight to the meat after that.
Oh, don't do that.
I mean, unless y'all gonna have to show me a study or something where those little steel whatevers are actually hurting people. Because yeah,
Well, I remember the first time I realized in the subway, every time the subway stops, you've got these metal wheels on the metal track, and you get sparks and all of that. And basically, there's a whole lot of steel dust that's released every time the car, comes to a stop and then starts up again. And that we are, in fact, everyone who's riding the subway, you're breathing steel dust all day long or all your whole ride and for years at a time. So, and that it is a challenge for workers who are breathing it, all day long for their whole shift. So I don't know if you're just a rider, what your experience is, but, now that stop eating it. You're like, no,
I,
it's what gives flavor.
right. I like the steel. Maybe that
Yeah,
makes the meat better.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, okay, so uh Virgo lady says you can get shade from the neighbors giving you the side eye because you won't eat their potato salad. Very good. I like that. And Mandel says 100 in the shade is hot and there is no shade. Now you know my work environment. Imagine fresh from the factory asphalt under your feet to warm you. Yeah, that sounds like a scene right out of actual hell. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like what someone might have to experience.
Yeah. You got my sympathy.
Yeah, definitely. So Paulette says red flag got me seeing products with keto label and I passed them by. Yeah, so that's definitely going to be something I pay attention to tomorrow, as I go through and look at the vendors, because I'm sure there'll be a ton of stuff that I'm not going to even want to bother with trying. Yeah.
Yeah. I pretty much whenever I'm at the store and I see a keto section, I just basically walk past the entire thing.
Hmm.
But um, yeah, keto on any label is an automatic red flag. But then
Yeah.
sometimes I'll still look at the kind of product, and after you've seen a few of them, you know basically what's going on. Like if it's a
Hmm.
keto cookie or something, then it's made with almond flour, coconut flour, or some other
Hmm.
substitute.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Paulette says, does this sharpener only do knives? Laughing out loud, I have a machete to sharpen. I don't know. I have no idea about that. Sorry, Paulette. But let me know when you figure it out. um,
I'll
and
tell you
Mandel,
what, A's knife might as well be a machete.
what?
I said your knife might as well be a machete.
Yeah, the one that I had in that video. It's
Yeah.
very, I like it. I thought it was a wonderful knife. I mean, okay, it's not, the super fancy, knife that you're going to find out there, but like, for regular everyday function, I think it was a great choice.
Right. Like how fancy does a knife need to be to cut stuff?
Yeah. Well, exactly. It does not. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, Mandel says a good grinder and a sharpening set and a piece of a leaf spring off an old car. Best knife you'll ever have. Takes a bit of work. Watch Forged in Fire and make one, or at least appreciate it. Actually, I was looking on Etsy. I don't know why, but I saw this guy who made knives. And I mean, these things were just works of art. They were gorgeous. So I definitely can imagine there's people out there making knives that are just beautiful, just beautiful. Um,
That would be cool.
mhm.
As a carnivore, if you like go on Etsy or you know somebody who makes custom knives and you get one of those, that would be, yeah, okay. Carnivore gift knives.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So as far as looking for vendors, I don't know. I mean, maybe there are, maybe there are some knife sellers there tomorrow, or maybe they need to be told, hey, there's this whole market of people that are looking for your product.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do it. Um, okay, Johnny G says buy a sharpening stone or a knife sharpener. Knives will last forever. Yeah, they can if they are not treated very badly. But this is embarrassing to say, but I've certainly used knives as like a screwdriver, you know, or to pry things open. So yeah, there are off-brand uses of knives that will definitely suck its life force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay. So Paulette asks, is Cutco brand a good knife? I have no idea, none whatsoever. But maybe. Oh, okay. So Pat Jacobs says they are a very good knife, but are not cheap, and they come with a lifetime warranty, and they will resharpen the knives for you. Yeah, I've definitely heard people. There are companies, right? In even the very fancy ones, yes, they will sharpen the knives, but you have to send them to them. So I'm kind of like, well, what do I do in the meantime while you have my knives? I don't know.
Yeah, and especially once you find out how easy it is to sharpen a knife yourself.
Hmm. Well, I don't know if it's that easy. I'm definitely sure that those cheap sharpeners that I get from Amazon contribute to the early demise of the knives. I don't think that that is the proper way to sharpen, and you can ultimately dull and damage a blade. But it's easy and cheap. Um, so I don't know. There's no real answers there.
So I've got a pretty cheap one. I think it was 10 or 15 from Amazon,
Hmm.
the what I was telling you about, and it seems to work. It definitely hasn't dulled the knives, but it has not gotten them as sharp as like they started when I first got them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I think like when Johnny G says, okay, using a knife as a screwdriver, you're unsubscribed. But like, but so sometimes you just don't have the proper tools around the house. But like the blade, there's a certain angle that the blade needs to be to sharpen to, and you may or may not get that in the device that you get for sharpening. So I don't know,
I
but
think it'd be cool to have a leather strap somewhere in my kitchen that I can use.
yes, yes. All right, I am about to, my battery's about to die, so I gotta plug in or we gotta stop. Either way, what do you want to do? You all tell me.
Um, yeah, I was gonna say it's up to you. Go with
Okay,
whatever.
I'm gonna go get, oh my God, there's multiple
So
doors
those
and
people make
screens.
glass cutting boards.
Oh,
Yeah, I will say now, your cousin's backyard looks pretty nice.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, this is funny. Mandel says, aren't you an anthropologist? which isn't archaeology, but still thought you had to take a course to make stone tools. You got any obsidian or flint blades? Yes, I am an anthropologist. Archaeology is part of anthropology, and yes, I did have to learn how to make stone tools, and I was pretty good at it.
Cool.
So, yes, to answer your question, Mandel, yes to all of that. And
Do you have any obsidian or flint blades now?
I do not. I do not. So obsidian gets super sharp, but it's also very fragile. So, you can only use it so many times before it gets too dull to do anything with, or shatters. Okay. All right. Almost done here. So let's see. Um, Johnny G says you don't throw out a blunt knife, you sharpen it. Yeah, I'm not talking about a blunt knife. I'm usually, so for me anyway, I don't know about for everyone else, but the knives that I've had, when you start using the blade for other purposes besides cutting, you get nicks and dings in the blade that you would have to grind the blade down significantly to get those out and then resharpen it. So that's what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, if it's just dull, you sharpen it. um, okay, Pat Jacob says I purchased the sets and they don't all don't need to be sharpened at the same time. Yes, Pat, thank you, because I did actually. I was thinking that after I said something. Maybe you have more, and then you just don't need them all at once.
There you go. You know what? Okay, that makes sense. But then, are they giving you enough of like the regular knives too? Like, so if we're talking steak knives, then yeah, they're probably giving you like 10 or 12 or so. You're not going to need all those at the same time unless you're throwing a dinner party. But if you have like one medium sized utility knife or one long knife that you like, and then that gets old, you send that in, then I got to make do with whatever's left. 'Cause
Or
I
you get
definitely get,
two. You get
yeah,
two utility knives.
hopefully it's two.
Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. All right. So, okay. So Pat Jacobs, Paulette says I bought a Cutco knife. A friend's son starting out as a salesman 10 hours ago. It's still in good shape. She must mean 10 years ago. Wow. Well, see, now this is why you buy quality stuff. Now, I kept my IKEA set for a very long time, but I assure you that it was not a good quality set of knives when I bought it, and 10 years later, it had not improved with age.
10 years later, it's still bad.
Hmm. Yeah. Johnny G says the butcher might sharpen your knife if you have a good relationship. That's a thought. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Hey, Andre from Brazil, welcome. It's so great. I am glad to see you. Oh, and this is what I was gonna say. So I saw so many things in the Walmart today in the beef section that just never see in New York. So not only did they have brisket, they had like all these different cuts of meat. They had beef cheeks and heart and beef bacon, which I didn't even get. But I saw they had pica yuna. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's that cut of meat that's so common at the Brazilian steakhouses. Um, that they put on the spit and come to the table and serve. So I thought, I was trying to, like, my cousin, he does have a grill and he grills all the time, but mostly it's like chicken and hot dogs and hamburgers. So when I was introducing these different cuts of meat today, he was kind of like, huh, how do I do this? Or what do I do with this? And I don't think, I'm not sure that we landed in the right place with the ribeyes and the flank and cut short ribs. So, I mean, it's still edible. It's still, tasty and everything, but we did not, we could have done better. We could have done better.
Yeah. I imagine that yeah, if you're just not used to a certain cut, like when I do I always
Hmm.
like doing a cut the first time just for myself, and maybe if it comes out good, then I'll let somebody else have it. But
Hmm. Yeah.
certain things cook different. Like I'm not at a point because I don't buy it that often where I feel like I could do. Excuse me. I feel like I could do skirt steak for somebody.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a disaster every time I try it, so I've given up. It's too
Yeah,
expensive to
it's a
not get right.
difficult one. Right. It's difficult to get right versus like I could do ribeyes for somebody all day long.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so, but he was totally unfamiliar with that cut. But I was like, man, I have never even seen this in the store, like, just to be able to buy. So, wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
Um, yeah.
It's cool.
Okay, so Terry says, I have some family members interested in carnivore way of eating. Of course, I send them your videos. They're going to do it for 30 days. That's awesome. So, wow, they must see your success and be really, excited by what you're doing.
Get your family on it, and for them to commit to 30 days too, that's
Hmm.
huge.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Paulette says, for someone to commit to 30 days, it'll be, really great. So congratulations go to Terry um, on bringing the family in. Um, so Mandel says, my grandmother sharpened her knives on the steps. Granddaddy had a millstone on a crank. My other granddaddy had wet rocks. The imitation Rambo knife comes with a sharpening stone grate in the kitchen. I tell you, your family, Mandel, seemed very intimidating. Not a soul must have passed by wherever your family was from without just hurrying a little bit more, saying, "Let me not mess with these people,"
Right.
because they are ready for whatever. Yeah.
It's
Um.
a lot of sharp knives in that house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Karen says, so ribeye isn't a great choice. Yes, no, what are we how no, don't come to that conclusion. Yes, ribeye is always a great choice. If you can afford it, yes, it is the king of steaks for a reason. And yes, it is always a great choice. Um my cousin just didn't know how to cook it. And I think he kept grabbing sirloin steak and saying, when I get steak, like, this is what I get. Is this good? And I realized, like, he's not a steak eater, so he just doesn't know, what different cuts of steak are and how, they cook and what is the appropriate way of cooking them. So that was a thing. So, but ribeye is always a great choice.
So, you know what? While we're talking about that, tell me if this is. Do you get uncomfortable when people talk about like they want to, you're there visiting or something, or they decide that they want to help. So, hey, I'm going to take you grocery shopping,
Hmm.
and you, I find myself having to tell them like, so it turns out I only eat the top three steaks that like exist, and if you're going to do something for me and you want me to like it, don't buy other stuff.
Mm. Yeah, but those other things aren't steaks. Like London broil is not really steak. But
Right.
I think that that's what people think. Like either sirloin or maybe a chuck steak or London broil is steak, but and don't know how to cook those things. So then,
Right.
it becomes a mess.
Yeah. Like I have round and chuck steaks are roasts that were cut into steaks.
Hmm.
Um, where does sirloin come from?
It's towards the back. So it's not the rump, but it's in front of the rump.
Okay, so
So
that
it's more
explains.
lean.
Yep, because I tried when I first. This was back when I was keto. I tried sirloins for a while, and they were okay. I feel like I had one or two good ones, and then like eight bad ones after that.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I just decided, like, screw this. I'm not doing sirloins anymore.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
sirloin can have a fat cap on it, so that can be nice, but other than that, the meat itself is not very fatty.
right. So I realized with people trying to help for me, I have to tell them, like, all right, so you don't shop like I shop. Like, really, shopping for meat is not some spur of the moment, let me go look for something thing. Maybe
Hmm.
if you live in Texas and you got a Walmart close to you, but where I am here, that's not how that works. I gotta know when sales are, or I gotta be hitting the stores on a regular basis so that I see the sales.
Hmm.
So otherwise, if you want to buy me something that I'm gonna enjoy, it's gonna cost you like freaking $12 a pound at least.
Yeah, that's true. That is definitely true. Karen asks, "What are the top three steaks?" So, what would you say those are?
For me, that is probably ribeyes, T-bones, porterhouse. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of people would put New York strip up there too, probably on above, like right under ribeyes. For me, I like New York strips. They're good steaks. They don't have. They're another one that has the fat cap and then not as much inside.
Hmm.
And I'd rather the fat was inside.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's interesting. I don't feel like I have bought a porterhouse or a T-bone steak probably since like day two of going carnivore. So just didn't even think about those.
They've been on sale a lot lately down here,
Hmm. Hmm.
so they've almost been exclusively what I've been eating.
Okay. All right. So those are some options. Um, and then oh wow. Susie Underwood says I take skirt steak, dip it in egg and dredge it in crushed pork rinds, fry in bacon grease. It's like chicken fried steak. That sounds amazing, Susie.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might do that.
And Mommy Does Keto does the same thing with chicken thighs. That's
Mm.
awesome. I've done it with like chicken bites, so it's sort of my own chicken nuggets. And it's delicious. So decadent. Let's see. Tina says I always buy knives made out of surgical steel so you don't have to sharpen them. I What magic is this? I don't even understand what words you're saying. What? Knives that don't ever need to be sharpened? What?
uh,
Why have you all let
yeah,
me go on and sit here and talk about how to sharpen knives when it's possible to get a knife that does not need sharpening ever?
and what I would want is I need to know, like, if it's surgical steel actually like just never needs sharpening, and if that's the case, wouldn't we be using that for just about everything, or wouldn't
I
all high end knives be surgical steel?
Yeah, shouldn't they should be. I don't know. Please, Tina, come back with more information. You cannot tantalize us with, magical statements like that and then not give us the goods. Okay, Mandel says ribeye on the George Foreman. Hmm. Um, Yes, he says don't do that. It's bad. Yes, I would agree. There's no, the only thing that I think is worth cooking on a George Foreman is like a hot dog or a sausage or something like that. You know, something where you're heating it up. You're not actually like cooking it. So, um,
So basically,
hey,
just don't.
yeah. I mean, you know, it's a good heating up and warming device. Um, okay, hey, LaShawn, welcome. So glad that you are here. Um, and yeah, mommy does keto, like cooking things in the air fryer when you have dredged it in pork rinds could help because, you know, dealing with hot fat is just, it's a chore in terms of cooking.
So how are you frying it in bacon grease if it's in the air fryer? Like, do you drip some
Oh, you're
bacon grease
not.
on it?
No, 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 no. You're choosing one or the other.
Okay.
Hmm. But I've done both where I've coated the, you know, whatever the thing is in bacon grease, and I mean in pork rinds, pork rind breadcrumbs, and I've cooked it in fat in the stovetop on you know, in a cast iron pan, and I've done it cooked in the air fryer. And honestly, there's not a lot of difference in terms of the outcome. So then it's just easier to do it in the air fryer and not so much mess.
Okay.
Hmm. Let's see. Terry Carver says I haven't had much success with beef cheeks, cheap in price but extreme gristle. Good to know. Did not know that.
That sounds like something I'd rather eat after a meal, just when I want
Mm.
something on. Because
Hmm.
when I'm full, I love eating gristle.
Terry says top three steaks: ribeye, ribeye, and ribeye. Um, yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of agree. Yeah, LaShawn gets the porterhouse and the T-bones when she goes to a steakhouse. Got it. Got it. Um, okay. Um, and LaShawn does the chicken wings with egg and heavy cream, pork rind rums, and fry crumbs, and fry in duck or pork fat. Sounds also very tasty. Okay, so Tina bought these surgical steel knives from Kuhn Rikon, and that was when she was vegan. So I don't know what you need these super fancy knives for when you're a vegan, but good to know. Um, so yeah, we gotta try that out. Do you see a
Yeah.
Marion? How much is one?
I'm looking now. Cookware cutting. All right, knives.
So Susie likes a New York strip. So good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Raw asks, is there any actual benefit to eating pork rinds? I like to think that pork rinds, eating skin gives you collagen, which you know, is abundant in meat, but you know, more is always good for your skin and stuff. And pork rinds is skin, and so it gives you access to collagen. But I do also have to, you know, remind myself that pork rinds is not a complete protein because it's skin, and it's, you know, a lot of the protein comes from collagen. It's not meat. It's not fresh meat, I should say. So don't, you know, I guess from time to time having dinner of like pork rinds dipped in butter or a pate or something is okay, but don't make it a habit that it is the basis or the cornerstone of your meal, I should say. So,
Yeah, I find that it's impossible to even start to do that for me at least. Like pork rinds are great. Um, Eventually, they I get tired of them. They couldn't be a whole meal. Um, they don't satisfy me the same way. So they're um, they're a good snack alternative.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Johnny G says my favorite steak is the one on special. Yeah, you
That's,
great minds think alike.
yeah,
Totally agree. Yeah. And the Dark Chris says the benefit of pork rinds is not eating chips. Yeah.
that part.
So, yeah, yeah. And it's it just if you want to feel like you're eating but not eating, I feel like it's I want to say rice cakes are to anorexics the way pork rinds are to carnivores. It's a way of eating but not eating because in rice cakes there's so little calories, there's so little anything. It's like as close as you can get to eating nothing. And so it plays a very big role in the diet of somebody who's always trying to eat nothing. Um, that analogy may be a little may not have worked all that well, but that's kind of what I think about. Pork rinds are just sort of this thing that is fun. It's entertaining. It can be a stopgap, a support, but it may not be. But it's not dinner, so to speak.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. They've never felt like they could be dinner.
Hmm. Yeah. So Raw says I tend to eat them when I crave chips. Yep, exactly.
So,
That's a great time to do it. Tina says I had to chop a lot of veggies when I was vegan. Now I use them for meat. I have a three-piece set. I mainly use the butcher knife or the paring knife. Okay.
so I'm looking at the website. They don't look that expensive. I'm very surprised by this. The paring knives are like $12.
Oh.
It looks like you could get a set of like three knives. I think the most expensive goes to $72, and that's one, two,
Hmm.
three, four, five knives. Yeah, these don't look crazy, but I don't see any of them that say surgical steel.
Mm.
They just say
Okay.
stainless.
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe there was a typo. She meant stainless steel. I don't know.
Maybe.
Um, Okay, so Christine Latham says ribeye is king, but Dr. Shafee style wet aged with kosher salt New York strip for 24 hours can be really close second. What is this wet aged?
I've heard of
I've definitely heard of people doing that too. So I have not really gotten into the whole aged meat thing. Like I've definitely seen it on sale in some of the finer shops and butcher shops, and it's definitely a lot more expensive. Um, but it never really appealed to me all that much. I mean, my understanding is basically it's like certain types of bacteria growing on the meat and sending their, just like mushrooms do, their little root system down, and that is what's giving the meat some of its flavor, and it's also tenderizing the protein in the process of doing that. So I don't know, I hear that and I think, can I just get some accent meat tenderizer or one of those poundy things? Like, I don't know, do I need fungus to do that for me? I don't know.
it.
I don't know.
And especially for you being a person who seems to have a intolerance to histamines, like I would be very
Hmm.
scared of
Hmm.
intentionally aged meat. Like any beef you have is already fresh beef is actually weeks old by the time you eat it.
Hmm.
So um, to age it beyond that just sounds scary.
Hmm. Yeah. So, and I guess with like wet aged meat, I mean, there's a continuum from, just leaving something in your refrigerator for a couple of days to, high meat that is, made of liver that's been fermenting for 6 months. So you can, there's all ways to do it, I suppose, is the answer to that. Or is, what I'm really trying to say. Yeah.
It definitely seems like it.
Hmm. Um, okay, Johnny G says chicken breast is the rice cake of carnivore. Yes, I agree.
Pretty.
Um, and Raw asks, is there anything detrimental to eating too many pork rinds? I think that it edges out eating real food, and so you will be both full and unsatisfied when you've eaten a big bag of pork rinds, and then you're not hungry for dinner. So, which is why when I look at pork
Yeah,
rinds, I try not to think of them as a snack food. Like if I'm feeling snackish, it really means it's time for a meal. And then I can make the pork rinds part of the meal, and that's not a problem. But if I'm going to them because I'm feeling like I want a snack, I am probably just hungry. You agree?
yeah, that definitely is true. Like there are other days where if I want pork rinds or something else, I'm having a craving for some snack. I realize that like actually a couple pieces of bacon would just knock this right out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And Karen is asking about air fryers. She hasn't invested in one yet. Yes, invest in one. It is not just faster, it is better. It has a different texture. It cooks things differently. Just get one. I don't know when Amazon Prime Day is. Did it just happen? Or I feel like it's like this week or something. So
Hmm.
you should, you know, connect with Amazon Prime and get one. I just bought a new one at Walmart and it was $74. So, not the hugest expense. So think about that. Okay, and Pat Jacobs says Amazon has the Kuhn Rikon stainless steel two-piece knife set for $21. Yeah.
Okay.
So Betsy, yeah, I was talking about dry aged steak. But wet aged is a different way of going about doing it, but still the purpose is the same, is to cultivate these bacteria that put their root system into the meat. Um, yeah. So Manette is saying aged, salt the meat and leave it uncovered in the fridge for 24 hours. So now I've definitely done that. Maybe not 24 hours, but for a good long time. And, and that's really, I've been doing it to get the meat dry so that it can get that really nice crust when I pan fry it. But I suppose it's a form of aging. I mean, 4 hours, 8 hours, I don't know, 12 hours, 24 hours. So it's a gradation. Maybe that first, couple of hours might not even really notice it.
It's not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. So Betsy did the same thing. Putting salt on the meat and drying it out on a fridge, in the fridge on a rack. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and Mommy Does Keto says that's what Shafi does as well. Yeah, I've definitely
I
done
thought
that.
shaping did wedding.
I Mommy Does Keto is just referring to his dry method. So maybe he does both.
Hmm.
Um, Susie, I don't know if there's any benefits. I feel like it's a flavor thing, and maybe it helps to soften the meat. It's
That's
a ten.
basically everything that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. So LaShawn, yes, I'm going to be at KetoCon in Austin. Right now I'm in Houston because I have a cousin who lives here and I'm visiting, but tomorrow I'm headed over to Austin for the conference. So, looking forward to that. Mommy Does Keto is right. Aging is not good for histamine. So if you do have a problem with histamines, don't do that. Or it gives it a refreshing cheddar odor, as Mr. Bogglesworth says. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Refreshing cheddar odor,
If that is refreshing to you,
if you
then
say so.
yes, you should do that. Yeah. So, but the salt is key for sure. Um, so now I see Christine says just age your next ribeye 3 hours before grilling works way better than the poundy thing. So I guess I don't know what is aging then, because I mean, we waited to cook the ribeyes for probably 2 hours. I salted them and left them on the counter uncovered for 2 hours before we started cooking them. I didn't think that was aging. I just thought that was seasoning. I don't know. So I don't know where aging begins, or just, preparation begins or turns into aging and then turns into rotting. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's a thing.
Hmm. Okay, LaShawn Terry says Amazon Prime is coming up. All right, so everybody, since it is coming up, go put some of those knives in your cart and look at a new air fryer and think about that. Oh, okay, Tina says Prime Day is the 12th through the 13th, so that's next week. Okay, great. And Mommy Does Keto says I have stainless steel knives and they need to be sharpened. I don't know. Maybe these the ones that we were talking about have some sheath that sharpens them as you pull them in and out, so they're self-sharpening. I don't know. Betsy says
Yeah,
Betsy says random, but I found breakfast sausages that are so good, but I think they have MSG. Do you guys think there's any harm in having it once in a while, like on weekends? I say knock yourself out. It's fine. I mean, MSG is not great, but don't, if you're not doing this every day, don't worry about it. Unless it makes you sick. Some people, MSG like gives
yeah.
them migraines and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to pay attention and see what your response is. Johnny G, yes, we have a smoker and a griller here, so that's what we did today. And I intend to get something like that when I get back to North Carolina. So I will be I will be grilling. I will be grilling. Um,
Nice.
so Manette says aging is a reduction of water in the steak. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. And Johnny G says put a whetstone for sharpening in your carts or a knife sharpener. Yeah, perfect. So focus on getting some of those tools that support you in the eating, in the eating process. And I gotta say, so I have always said that if you are going to eat the lean cuts of meat, which are very flavorful and tasty, so even though we talk about ribeye and chuck roast all the time, I have very much enjoyed every time I have made a rump roast. I have very, very much enjoyed it. It is very good, and it is, what like roast beef is really. And but the best way to consume it is to slice it very, very thin, and for that you need to have a good knife. So even London broil, I think, is actually very flavorful and tasty. But again, you have to cut it very thin slices, and then it's quite easy and it's not too tough. Um, But that's really
Yeah.
where you need the good knife. Yeah.
So maybe invest in a good knife so that you can have a better time eating cheaper, different meats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so if you get the stainless steel or surgical steel knife or whatever it is, let me know how it goes. If you like it, I want to hear all about it. And I may go ahead and get one myself next week as well during Prime Week. Um, and then I am going to, yeah, I'm just gonna, try to put up as much video as I can about what I'm seeing in terms of products and everything at KetoCon. So make sure and watch my stories and reels on Instagram. That's probably where I'm gonna put most of it. And yeah, and just send me a message if there's something in particular you're looking for or you want to see. Okay. Esther, yes, I moved to North Carolina, so this has been a months long sojourn, it feels like. But yes, I have moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. Although I've got to say, I have liked Texas despite the heat and the humidity and what it's done to my hair. I do kind of like it. I do. So it's not off the table. And I was just so pleased by my experience at the Walmart today. And in comparison to, my shopping experiences in North Carolina, hmm, so yeah.
Wow. This wherever you went in North Carolina does not sound good.
Mm-mm.
Like the grocery store you went to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been to a lot now, and and it's not cheaper than New York. That's what is so strange to me. I'm like, I thought things are supposed to get cheaper when I leave the city. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's really weird.
I mean, here I
You
think
might have to
things are
figure out something
cheaper.
else.
Yeah.
It
Well, here in
might be
Texas,
that you
things
have
are
to like
cheaper.
get out of the grocery stores.
Well, I think Janae and hopefully Portia can help me understand a bit more and take me to some of the local farmers. But I don't know. I think North Carolina is one of those states, like it's turning purple and it's got a lot of, people from the north and from New York coming to it. So, um, I don't know. But even with like gas prices, Virginia, gas is super cheap. And then in North Carolina, it's expensive. Then I went to South Carolina yesterday and it was super cheap. So I was like, cheap enough that I was like, gee, do I need any gas? Should I, fill up here? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like maybe I should just. I know I only need a quarter tank, but I should fill up here where it's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay. So yes, we will come to a close. We're going to wrap up now. Esther, yes, we have got to do a Southern State meetup for sure. So hopefully we will get to that soon. And Manette is advocating to invest in a sous vide machine. Yes. So that is something to consider. Uh, and LaShawn also yes, I left New York to go to move in with my favorite cousin, and I'm staying with her brother right now, my other cousin. All right, mommy does keto. Good night. Have a great one. And everyone, I am so glad that you were here tonight. And so yeah, keep an eye on my Instagram for more insight and info about KetoCon. And yeah, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, good night. Arian, are you with us tonight?
Good night, guys.
All righty.
I didn't know I was supposed to say good night. Then you were talking. I was waiting for you to do it. Then I was gonna join in.
Okay. All right. All right, everybody. All right, everyone. So have a great one, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye, guys.